Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of DigiDox. This is the second episode of season 2. Today is January 11th. This footage was filmed on January 1st. This was the first of the year, getting out in the sunshine, meditating and moving my body with Hawthor. And if you don't know who Hawthor is, you will soon, certainly by the end of this episode. So today, I'm going to be doing a voiceover with this footage instead of a video of me talking about the topic. And those are for reasons both artistic as well as spiritual. Not that those are separate in any case. But the message that wants to come through today is very oriented around the earth and the body. So this is a perfect scene here to do that with. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about Hawthor, who is an ancient Egyptian goddess, and I have been working with her since the 31st, so only about 12 days now. I've been consciously working with her energy, but have been unconsciously working with her energy for some time, as well as in many past lives. And we're going to talk about one of the many topics that I have been learning about and growing through while working with her energy, which is discipline versus devotion. Discipline and devotion are the topics. It's the topic. Before we launch into that, though, I want to tell you a little bit about Hawthor and about how I came to start working with her. So I received some of the most amazing body work, Reiki, recently, and on a trip to Tucson. I had a remote energy session with a practitioner named Tangi Duffy. I would be happy to post her contact information if anyone is looking for body work. She, like I said, she does it remotely, and I highly, highly recommend her. And in our session, she said that she had a vision of Hawthor dancing around me, inviting me to come work with her and focus on her to move through this next echelon. And very quickly, well, let me back up. For the last couple months, when I've been meditating, I have been seeing an image of a cow, and specifically of horns with a sphere in the middle of the structure of the horns. And when I looked up Hawthor after this practitioner had told me about this experience, and I had never heard of her before. Her glyph is of a cow, and her representation is of a cow with horns with the sphere in the middle. That's how she's represented. So our connections, deities, when we send out a signal to the universe, say I want to work on X, Y, Z, and we, pump out that signal, then the energies that are going to help us develop what we're asking to develop are going to come to us. And so even though it took some time between the first time that I meditated and saw that, the glyph of the cow and the horns, to, January 31st, when it was just this, very obvious direct referral, the energy had already been there. Hawthor was like, yo, I'm here. Let's work together. So, when you pay attention to those things that come to you in meditation or that you're seeing synchronously around you, can be in the forms of numbers or images or feelings or sensations, and trust that that is a guide, a deity, an ancestor, part of your higher self, right? It's all the soup of source energy. It's an aspect. The way I like to think of deities is if source energy were a cube, deities would be different faces of that cube. It's different energetic components and representations of that source energy to help humans understand and integrate that part of source energy. Okay. So trust that if you send the signal out, you're going to get something back. You're going to get help back. Now, whether you become conscious of the particular energy, deity, ancestor, etc. or not, doesn't really matter. Although it does to a certain extent too, because then when you pair up the conscious intention of like, yeah, now I'm going to work with Hawthor really consciously, then that can add, a lot of potency to the process. So don't stress if you're not receiving clarity on like, I don't know, who wants to work with me, Although seeking out an energy practitioner would help with that. But don't stress about that. Just let it happen naturally. So Hawthor. Okay. So Hawthor is an ancient Egyptian goddess. Before Isis kind of ancient, which like I did not even know was a thing. But before there were these representations and stories of Isis, Hawthor was around. And she has some similar qualities to Isis. So Isis, the representations of Isis take some similar qualities from Hawthor. There's definitely a lot of divine mother energy. But Hawthor is a little bit more, at the same time, like wild and free. Almost like a Kali, like a tantric, like very free. There's no shame. There's really not a polarity about her. And also different from Isis. Isis is very oriented around the upper chakras and cosmic consciousness. And Hawthor is very oriented around the lower chakras and helping us remember that source energy is inside everything physical here on this earth plane. So, the reason she is represented as the cow glyph is she's this earthy, nourishment, sustenance, earth body, food, pleasure, joy, sex. And it's really truly seeing. So specifically, one of the reasons that she came to me, because I was calling out the, specific things that I wanted to work on, was one, joy and sexuality and pleasure and body orientation, and two, more free flow around money. And one of the things that's come really strongly since meditating with Hawthor is the remembrance that money is divine. Money is a representation of divine. It can be, and it is, a representation of divine. Can it get out of check if we overinvest in lower chakras and earth and we disconnect from cosmic consciousness and we, internalize greed, and especially with that capitalist flavor? Can it become a tool for egoic cycles of oppression? Certainly, absolutely. But right now, it is so important that we return to the remembrance that money in and of itself is just energy, and that energy is an expression of divine. And so we don't want to, we can have these subconscious narratives that tell us that money is the source of all evil. And especially, there's this big, especially for the last 2,000 years, there's been this spiritual practice of renunciation as the highest spiritual path. I renounce all worldly things. I walk away from all worldly things. I'm going to go meditate in the mountain. It's been the 2,000 years of the monk, I'm going to go meditate in the mountain. And that's the only true way to, reach enlightenment and be in touch with source energy, is if I separate myself and renounce. Right? That is a stage in spiritual development and evolution. And certainly we've needed that. I think 2,000 years ago, what were we coming out of? The age of Aries, right? So there was a lot of war. There was a lot of need for this move toward renunciation and that practice to help us reorient around not wealth and help us reorient around, other aspects that we needed to exercise. And it's very important right now, that we come back into the understanding and practice that money is not the root of all evil. It is certainly not. And it is expression of the divine, and we can allow it to flow through us just like any other energy flows through us. And so those are a few of Hawthor's qualities. And then again, when she appeared to the practitioner who was working on me, she was dancing. And that's very key too, because Hawthor is about joy and pleasure and being connected to the body. So those are a few things about her, and I'll probably do some more videos in which I'm referencing here. The other thing, the amazing thing that I've been called to do with her is really focus explicitly and specifically on Hawthor. I am such a Pisces, and I have had so many, well, one, past lives and different spiritual experiences, working with different energies and different deities. And two, I just have a naturally very curious spirit. So I'm kind of like beat bopping around. The other day I created this great metaphor of my soul, my soul and spirit ascend like jazz. Like they're just fucking beat bopping around, traveling and being inspired. Oh, I love the way that my spirit grows and that my soul grows with my spirit. And I was called to focus specifically on Hawthor, at least for the duration of Capricorn season and possibly extending past Capricorn season, which has been an amazing experience and brings me to my topic today, our topic, Hawthor's topic, which has been helping me learn and understand the difference and practice the difference between discipline and devotion. And both things are necessary. And I'm not going to shit on discipline when I talk here. I'll just preface by saying that. But just like, other aspects, money, for example, like I was just talking about, discipline has really been co-opted and applied in this capitalist 3D way where we conceive of discipline as being this thing. We have to push through the body. We have to push through the things we don't like. We have to work super hard in this particular way. No days off, like fucking discipline. And that's just not what's up. Like, that's not honoring our bodies. If something is not working, if something like pushing through, working nonstop, that's not the answer. That's the way to burn out. That's the way to like bastardize the spiritual process, remove the spiritual process from it and just see it as this laborious thing that we have to do. That's ego. Okay, like that's what ego is about. Ego is about those kinds of achievements and accomplishments that require this type of labor that we've internalized as being the narrative for success in our capitalist structured society, right? So we'll talk about the positive aspects of discipline, but in relationship to devotion, the difference in relationship to devotion, which is as opposed to that egoic desire for achievement, and you're doing this to achieve this thing, and you have to push through in order to get to this end goal. And it's out of this expression of, I have to do this or else, there it's like very fear-based. Ego's talking, ego is running the soundboard when the motivation is fear-based. Because ego exists to keep us separate. Ego isn't just about, oh, I feel so good about myself in this unchecked way. Ego is anything that keeps us in the illusion of separateness. So that's ego running the show. The spirit running the show, though, and the soul, the desire for true soul growth, is devotion. It is being so devoted to the practice. It doesn't feel like something that you have to do, and it's not about the end goal. You're doing it because it feels so good doing it, because it feels like unconditional love, because it feels like every moment, every decision is improving your soul and aligning your spirit, body, and soul in harmony with itself, to be that one, as opposed to those three separate mechanisms, to be in harmony and aligned in that one, that wholeness. So our devotional practice, and like this was what was missing for me in a big way. Like, I've felt so much love from and for and through and around and surrounding and inside of and outside of deities and working with deities. But I had not reached that place where it's like, I want to get up and get on my mat and get on my altar and just fucking put my head on the ground and pray to Hawthor and just be enveloped by her out of love and for love, like being completely surrounded in these giant arms of love, 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 love. And it's like, that's why I'm fucking doing it, because of the way that it makes me feel, because it makes me embody the feeling of unconditional love in my true self. And through that space, then the healing and the expansiveness and the clarity and then the flood of ideas and all of the things that help us align to, so that we can achieve our goals, right? And we can achieve, but this time not from a place of egoic desire, of attachment and fear of failure, but out of, this is my soul work, this is my soul path, I'm aligning with that. And that involves these beautiful achievements, and that involves money, and that involves the body, and it involves pleasure, and it involves this unconditional galactic source of love. Boom. That's beautiful. Okay. That's it, folks. That's what wanted to be said. That's what wanted to come out. That's what Hawthor and I have been practicing in the last 11 days. We've had some more insights. There's one that I'm really excited to talk about on the singularity of compassion and the plurality of wisdom. That was just fucking mind-blowing. But we're going to save that for a separate video. So I hope that this video ignited something inside of you, ignited and inspired to help you connect and align with yourself and work on your labor, because there is no one else on this earth that's going to do your labor. You're here to do it. So let's share it. Let's make it happen. And let's make those good things happen for ourselves and each other by practicing this alignment. So much love, so much love, so much love. And I will talk to you next week.